get my notes, and then we'll go ahead and look. Everybody stand, and we will begin. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asak benvarei Torah. Please, Adonai, make the Torah's words sweet in my mouth and in the mouth of all your people, the house of Israel. May we, your children, all of Israel, know your name and the name of your Messiah, Yeshua. And may we study your Torah simply because it is good. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gave us the Torah of truth. And why? What's a good reason to study the Torah? Simply because it's good. I encourage you, when the people ask you, I say that every time. Why do you study that Torah? Simply because it is good. We don't need to have any other discussion. Simply because it is good. You should study it too, simply because it is good. Amen. All right, so welcome. I don't see any first-time visitors. I don't need to give a team update because we just saw the team, and that's exciting. They'll be here. Just wanted to remind you, in case you don't have your fall feasts papers ready, we will have the first feast. We're having supper this Sunday night here at 5 p.m. That's been on the paper that we've had. So just make sure you're here to celebrate that. That we have supper at 5 and the celebration at 6. Oh, yay. Okay. So that's Sunday. Okay, very good. And then we know in October we talked a little bit about Pastor Appreciation Month. Hopefully you'll be hearing from the ministers and the deacons about that because we certainly don't want to let that go by. So we have some things we'll be planning. Okay? All right, let's sing. Put your hands together. I see people saying, okay, here we go. If you're a Christian and you know it, clap your hands. If you're a Christian and you know it, clap your hands. If you're a Christian and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're a Christian and you know it, clap your hands. If you're a Christian and you know it, alert your face, please. If you're a Christian and you know it, alert your face. If you're a Christian and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're a Christian and you know it, alert your face. Thank y'all. All right. You can see I think I'm going to have a demo. It's a tried and true demo, but somehow, even the tried and true. If I had to have a title tonight, it would be very simple, ... very stable. And stable, that part I'm just using from that part in James 1:8 that talks and says, a double-minded man is what? Unstable in all his ways. Why is he unstable? Because he's double-minded. He can't get his thinking straight. So much of the times we just need to get our thinking straight. And you know what? Here's what I do sometimes. Even if, and I've told you all this many times, even if I don't necessarily understand my thinking or what I'm studying, I just study it, say it, and believe it, and go on. Because sometimes I don't understand it. But I know that it's truth, and I say to myself, Gail, this is truth. You don't have to understand every little part of it for you to keep studying it without getting totally shipwrecked. Because if you've ever been like me and you have studied, and sometimes you just get shipwrecked, you just put the whole thing down, don't do anything. But if you can tell yourself, all right, let's not give up the baby with the bathwater. I like to say that too. Let's just move on. So if we had to have a title, very simple, very stable, and in that mindset of stability. Okay, so, I did want to say that when I was studying, I just felt like I wanted to share, and we're not going to, totally a sidebar, we're not going to spend a lot of time. If I felt like, and I used to get really, before I'd say I feel like the Lord said or God said, but really, when you have a relationship and you pray and you read and you study, you do have times when you enter in and you really do feel impressed upon the Lord. And I really feel like I can step out in moments when I really feel that. And I just wanted to share that when I was studying, I felt like our Abba, our Father, wanted me to say, He understands for people who've had trouble with an earthly father, that understanding all the love and intensity and intimacy and desire that goes along with the relationship with your heavenly Father. He understands that that's difficult, can be difficult if you've had trouble with your earthly father or haven't known a relationship with your earthly father. He understands that difficulty. So I just wanted to share that and encourage people who have had or maybe never had an earthly father, that your heavenly Father, the relationship with him, the love with him is something so totally awesome and wonderful that don't count yourself out of that just because you haven't known that relationship with your earthly father, because he knows that and he loves you so much and desires to be everything and more than any earthly father could be anyway. That's not to discount our dads, because our dads fail us. We fail as dads and as moms. But I felt like that I was supposed to share that. So just be encouraged in your relationship with him. If you haven't had a good one with your father, or even an estranged one, or even times when it's been very difficult, understand that that relationship you can have with your heavenly Father, totally way different. Okay. All right, so anywho, jewelry lady. Anybody who's been to a jewelry party, and if you haven't, they're pretty fun. But anywho, I will not continue shouting out, but one of the things, and it's an attention getter, is there's some key words that get shouted out. Two of the words being jewelry lady. And the response, whenever the crowd hears jewelry lady, is Billy Murphy, because that is the jewelry lady's name. And when you get that, you get diva dollars. I have none. I thought about it, but that's for another women's ministry. But I just knew, because Millie is the ringer for gathering hundreds and hundreds of diva dollars because of knowing jewelry lady, Billy Murphy. Anywho, okay, I had to say that. I won't be giving out any prizes tonight for anything, but okay. So when I was preparing, a few months ago I was praying, and I knew, we have times coming up when my husband would be gone. And I was praying for our community here. I was praying for our family, our mishpachah, and our kahila, our kahalt here in LOJ 1 and 2. And I really believe, and I even mentioned it to Kathleen a few months ago, I believe, and I said, I really felt like, and I told my husband this, and I said, I've been praying, and which is one of my greatest blessings, is to be able to pray because of our sizes for 1 and 2. I pray for us by name. And sometimes I'm sure when there's bigger, you don't have these you can't pray for people by name. But that's one of the blessings I enjoy about LOJ 1 and 2, is I can pray for each of us by name. And I said I was just so overcome with praying for our body and then as a group. And I felt like the Lord really said to me, and it was really, like I stopped my husband, I'm like, listen to this. Because it's the simplest thing, but I really feel like it was not revelational to me, but I could have had a V8 moment. And I really felt like he said to me, again, it's something you've heard. What you put into this, and this being our halakha, our relationship, how we walk it out, is what you get out of it. Let's go. That's great. That's so powerful, but yeah, we've all heard that, right? That's not revelational to anybody. That's probably maybe not even inspirational, but it's insightful, and it really has a lot of knowledge behind it, obviously, because I really felt like in prayer it was from Adonai. But it's so very simple, and again, this simple girl gets very simple messages. So I not only pray, but I listen. I really do. I really have and again, that last song was so great because I wanted to encourage everybody tonight to practice the presence of the Father. If it's, again, new to you or not, if it's awkward for you to be when we're in worship, to be when we're in praise, it's just, still odd for you, practice the presence of the Lord. Practice the presence of your Father. Practice the presence of the Ruach of Yeshua. Just practice that presence. And when I say practice that presence, I mean just set that time aside to just be still, to just praise him, to just worship, to just be quiet and practice that presence just like you would practice anything else. And it becomes more and more familiar. When you don't do things and they're unfamiliar, it's hard to do them again, right? But if you do something every day, it becomes more familiar, and more easily and readily for us to, in this case, enter in, to be part of the atmosphere of the praise, and even in your prayer time, if you practice his presence. I'm not saying that every day needs to, well, every time needs to be a big, massive undertaking of oil dripping and sweat and stuff. I mean, certainly it can be. But it is more than, a little dab doesn't do you. It really doesn't. You do yourself such a disservice. Oh my goodness, you do yourself. And really, when you think about what I put into it is what I get out of it. If you think about what you put in to this relationship with Adonai, to being a believer, and you get discouraged, and I'm not saying that we all don't feel that sometimes, but really, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what am I putting in? What am I putting into this relationship? Because if I'm not thinking I'm getting out what I need or what I see other people having, then I need to check that. So another way to say that, in a very biblical way, and of course we see this in Proverbs, Galatians, Luke, Corinthians, and you all know how to Google. Go home and Google for yourself. Another way to say this is sowing and, right? Sowing and reaping. What you sow, you reap, right? Have no business talking about being a farmer. Love to eat what the farmers give us. But apparently, if you plant a certain seed, you get whatever the seed was. If you sow the certain seed, you get that right back. Now, you've all seen me do this before. And that's just not sowing and reaping. Sometimes we say that to people in like a negative way. Well, what you sow, you reap. But it's also in the good way. We forget. Those of us and all of us who sow well, reap well. Let's not be surprised when these blessings come our way and good things happen. And we can look at that. We've built a history in our relationship of good things. It's not always the crack of the whip and the doom, what you sow, you reap. Because, and sometimes we tend to say that more. But really, the Father's very gracious to tell us. And he's not mocked, and he means that. And again, look up those scriptures about it. It's the same principle, because it is a principle throughout, that the good things too. So when you sow, as my husband talked about a couple weeks back, sidebar, if you are in any way interested of always adding tools to your toolbox and always having a readiness kit and building on your relationship, I would encourage you to get the sermon from Saturday, September 17th. It was one of the basic tenets of our faith that my husband spoke about. It was about sowing and reaping, basically. Some beautiful boy. It was about tithing was one of the things he used. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It was very basic things that have to do. There's this beautiful mama. Yeah, no problem. Very basic pieces to have in your toolkit. The 17th of September, it was a wonderful teaching. Really made some good applications. And if you really have an interest in really building your study library or just spending time hearing something again, September 17th, it was really, I told them it was probably in the top 20. Really, really, really. I mean, everything is, I say that tongue-in-cheek. Everything is good. But if you had to have an essentials kit or your basics or something to keep in your back pocket for your own thinking, sometimes we get a little bit, well, I don't know about you, I should speak for myself. Sometimes we can get a little bit carried away, or we get a little, I got to bring myself back. What am I thinking about? But this is kind of one of those grounding teachings, talks about the practical applications of the word. Very much something if you're doing, like I said, the must-haves, your essentials, the basics, building a toolbox of your relationship. It's just really, really great. Okay, so here's my demo, and it's twofold. Some of you are saying, we've seen this. In some semblance, you have before, very much so. Okay, we know that just because the label of this says unsweet tea, can anybody see the unsweet tea in here? Anybody? Magic eyes? No. Smart eyes? No. This says sweet tea. Anybody? Sweet tea? No. Oh, who sees it? Melvin sees the magic tea. No, it is sweet tea, it says in there. Now, again, very simple. Just because it says something on the outside has no bearing at all what's on the inside, does it? No bearing at all. And again, very simple. Let me do this. What's really important about this idea of what you put into it is what you get out of it is because of this application of what you put into it is what you get out of it. Now, I'm not going to jostle Nell or bring Nell up because Nell has just like a little wounded bird awaiting surgery on her shoulders. But if you can see it, I want you to watch what happens. I'm just going to come along, and this container that says it has what in it? This is my unsweet tea. And the unsweet tea comes along, and somehow the unsweet tea gets bumped. And it might get bumped again. Yes? Does everyone see that? Presto chango. No, it is still unsweet. It's still. What came out of this jar labeled unsweet tea? Exactly what was in it. Was it unsweet tea? No, it was water. It was water. Abby, come up here. Abby has been great working with Malek and the chickens while the animal people have been gone. It's been great. It's been great. Now, Abby, here's, watch, because this is the application. We saw it here. Abby, I love Abby. I've told you this. I love her even more because she loves Malek and handles Malek and does a great job. But if I was to come along and I just bumped it and I pushed the small girl, what happens? What's going to come out of Abby? Whatever's in Abby. Thank you, Abby. You can sit down. And this is where we need to check ourselves. If we are saying, and you should, if you are a believer and you know it, what? Alert your face. Clap your hands. Show the world. But here's the tricky part. Don't, if when you come along and get bumped, if what comes out of you isn't what you say you've put in. And it's a really good indicator. I mean, we could all stand up and jostle and bump each other. But you know, when you get bumped, or somebody at work or in the Walmart or in the parking lot comes along and bumps you, what comes out is what's in you, right? We say time, circumstances, adversity doesn't create our character, it reveals our character. And don't you want what's revealed about you, what you're saying is on the inside, what you have put in, what you have sown, when it comes along, you want it to match what you've said, right? Because you don't want to get bumped. I'm doing a good job. I filled that right, exactly right. You don't want to get bumped and have the wrong thing come out, do you? Because then what happens? What happens? When you can really measure yourself by that. In those times when you're bumped, make sure, take that time to look and see, oh my gosh, really, what was my reaction? How was I? And especially in this season when, as Minister Tammy was praying, we are in this season right now as we start our feast. This has been our seasons for coming along, thinking about our relationships, making sure that we're doing the very best we can to be making sure we're in good standing with our brothers and sisters and the world too. That if there's any, we don't want to have, I mean, we never want to, but this is really that season of examination as we go into this season of Elul. We want to make sure that whatever we say we are, especially because when you're bumped, it's going to be revealed, is what we say we are. And simple things can reveal it. Don't you find yourself sometimes, and I know especially, sometimes it's the people you're around, and you get bumped. And the people you're around sometimes get a different response out of you than some other people you might be around. But you should be the same. And I know that as we, again, not perfect, just this one, again, this one said it was sweet tea. And in the sweet tea, how many of y'all know I love words? I love words. I love writing words. I love saying words. I love singing words to myself. I do sing to myself in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Do y'all? You should. It's very good. Very good. Make up your own psalm. You've got the best, but make up your own psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Encourage your own self, like I said. Now, if I feel this and I have all these words, and let's say these are all godly words and scriptural words and words that are what I'm told to keep putting in, right? Good words, God words. Then, when this is bumped, then what's going to come out? Words. Because what if I put it? It's okay now. I'll get it. It's no big. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and thank you again. Because that's what's going to come out. What you put in. So again, very easy tonight, right? Just a reminder, just an encourager. It's a really easy way to measure your own self. When you get bumped, what have you been sowing? What have you been putting in? If you put in very little, and that's the other thing. If I put in a very little bit of water, when I get bumped, not very much going to come out. There's nothing in there. We want to, again, what you're putting into it is what you're going to get out of something. There's a double application there. Whoa, Sister Gail. Mind-blowing. What you put in is what you're going to get out. The time, the effort, the energy, the love, the sacrifice is what you're going to get out. Put in little, get out little. Put in lots, lots going to come out. But make sure whatever comes out is what Abba wants to come out, is what you are advertising. I tell you this, I'm sure I have, because I repeat myself the older I get, but that's okay, because that means it's just wisdom. My mother, very awkward conversations as you're growing up. But one of the things she would say in lieu of having more deep conversations, because who knows, you just don't want your parents, don't talk to me about it, nope. But she would say, don't advertise what you're not selling. Right? It's one of my mother's big, thank you, enough said, got it. In the sense, do you all understand that? Don't advertise what you're not selling. So, okay, let's wrap it up, Sister Gail, let's wrap it up. Everybody got this very simple application? You're going to remember this, being bumped. You're going to remember wanting to have what's in come out. You're going to remember that what you sow, you're going to reap. If you put very little into this relationship here, you will get very little out. Very little time, very little effort, very little money, very little anything. You will get very little out. Simple. All right, that's it. I'm done. Stop talking. Stop talking. All right, let's progress. Yes. We are done. The team will be here Saturday morning, ready for service. Yeah. So, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Everything. Okay. I will. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. What did you say? No peanuts. I do put way too many peanuts in there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Chuck. Here, Kathleen. Yes? Oh, thank you. My water. I need it. Suffering succotash, I sometimes say. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Let's just do Mighty God. We'll do Mighty God. You're a mighty God. Yep, we'll just do that. That's good. Wow. It's just us.
from the darkness into your marvelous light, mighty God. Your name is victory. Hey. Woo! Yeah, 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 yeah. Woo! Yeah, 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 yeah. You're a mighty God. You live inside of me. Come and show yourself strong, so all the world will see. Come on, reign in your power. Reign in might, take us from the darkness into your marvelous light, mighty God. Your name is victory. Your name is victory. Your name is victory. 1, 2, 3. Praise the Lord. Go forth and conquer in his name. Have not seen Debbie. Please see Debbie before you leave this building tonight. Please.
My Redeemer has saved me.